What if the story of Abraham wasn't just a story, but a historical reality buried in the ground for thousands of years? Archaeologists have uncovered over 20,000 ancient tablets buried beneath the sands of Syria, written in languages lost to time, that contain the names of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and David. So the question is, are these just coincidences or echoes of something far greater? Okay, so we've shown you the four ways to look at a piece of passage in the Bible. Some passages are boring. There's no way to figure out the moral implication or the historical implication or the theological implication, nor the mystical union. When you see the other three, you say, wow, God, did you really do this? So there's no way to figure that out in every passage. But let's ask about the historical implication. Did Abraham actually exist? So we're going to go to archaeology and cuneiform tablets. Cuneiform tablets are baked clay with writings on them made by a piece of wood. And we found in the city of Mari something about Abraham. Mari was a city that was discovered in 1922. And in that discovery, there is a passage in a book by G. Frederick Owens, Archaeology in the Bible for Mari, page 120. It says this: mention is named of the Hebrews. Abraham was the first father of the Hebrews, and of the Muslims, and of the Christians, ultimately, through Jesus. Anyway, it says mention is made of the Hebrews and the Benjamites, and the personal names of Rehu, Terah, Nahor, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Benjamin, David are common. Since so many of the Mari tablets have been translated, over 20,000 of these tablets have been translated. They're from northwest Syria, Mari tablets in the Akkadian language. And the name Abraham's grandfather's there, his father's there, the cities are there, okay? And these are cuneiform tablets, over 20,000 of them. Again, in a book by G. Frederick Owens, Archaeology for the Bible, about Mari. But let's talk about how did we figure out to read Akkadian language. Let's talk about the archaeologists that did this. The Akkadian language began to be discovered when Carsten Niebuhr in 1767 was able to make extensive copies of cuneiform texts, published them in Danish. Remember Carsten Niebuhr? He's the guy that went to Yemen and found the Joseph inscriptions about the lady that sent her servant to Joseph, the steward of Egypt, Carsten Niebuhr. Anyway, deciphering these texts started immediately because the printing press was there by Gutenberg. So they start printing these cuneiform tablets across Europe. And so people started saying, hey, let's try to figure out what this word. So in 1802, a guy named George Frederick Gottfried, he was in a bar with his friend. And he says, I could interpret that tablet. And his friend goes, no, you can't. He goes, yes, I can. So the guy makes a bet in a bar. And Gottfried, he liked to decipher languages. He enjoyed puzzles. He frickin' published a book. He goes, hey, this is what the Akkadian language means. Well, people later on were like, that's not true. So they said that Gottfried did not know what he was talking about. That's 1802. Now here comes 1857. That the people go, hey, Akkadian cuneiform. Mari tablets could not be read without somebody deciphering Akkadian cuneiform. So three guys said, hey, Gottfried is right. One of them was Edwin Hicks, Henry Rawlinson, and James Ober. And they happened to be in London in 1857. And an English Orientalist, he goes, okay. People say that when you interpret this Akkadian cuneiform, you're making it up. It doesn't mean what you say. You're just guessing at it. And by the way, Gottfried did guess at the name Darius, the king of Persia. That's how he cracked the cuneiform. But they knew the names of the Persian kings from Greek writings because the Greeks captured the Persian Empire. So they actually were able to crack the Akkadian cuneiform from the Greek records of the Persian kings. So he guessed at it, and he got it right. But in 1857, people were like, oh, that's all. Except William Henry Fox Talbot said, hey, I got 3 guys here in London. I have Hicks, Rollins, and Oprah. We're going to give them each one of these cuneiform tablets, and they're going to interpret it independently. And guess what? They interpret it exactly right. That's how Akkadian cuneiform was cracked by 3 men in London in 1857 with a guy who got drunk in a bar and made a bet, and their work was based on his work. Perhaps your purpose in life is just to raise a kid. This video is about you. Decide what God has called you to. I would suggest maybe you should not go in too many bars and make too many bets. But, Gottfried is known. The real hero of the story is the guy that said, hey, you can't crack cuneiform. All right, so now let's go to the historical accuracy of the story of Abraham. There's a guy named William Albright. And when I say Albright is bright, Albright is bright. He is the greatest American archaeologist. Although they said Thomas Jefferson was. But Jefferson, all he did is he found one dinosaur bone, and it was the wrong bone. This guy, William Albright, is the Einstein of American archaeology. He is about as good, they call him a polymath man, like Benjamin Franklin. Albright is Ben Franklin and Einstein combined in archaeology. Now, to give an example, the city of Mari was in Akkadian cuneiform in many, many, many correspondences. We talked about that, how these guys solved that. But nobody could find Mari. So Albright tells the French in Syria, he goes, hey, guys, go look over there in this city called Tel Harari in 1932. The French are like, screw you. You Americans, you English, you stole our Rosetta Stone. We French, we cracked hieroglyphics with Jean Champollion, and we don't need your stinking help. Well, Albright said, okay, just take a look over there. You might find what you're looking for. So the French are like, we don't need your stinking help. 1 year later, Arabs are digging for a stone in Mount Tel Hari, and they discover this big old frickin' statue. They were digging for a stone for a gravestone for one of the relatives. But out pops this whole statue. And lo and behold, the statue says, hi, my name is Lemri Mari, King of Mari. Albright is so good, he could pinpoint a city in archaeology before they find it. When Albright speaks, you got to listen. So that's just Albright. He's a guy that authenticated the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls, again, were 1,000 years BC, which matched with the Masoretic text of the Hebrew Scrolls 1,000 years AD. And when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they went to Albright. They're like, Albright, is this stuff real? He authenticated the Dead Sea Scrolls. When I tell you he's an Einstein in archaeology, he really is. As a matter of fact, when they were trying to solve the Bubasite portal, however you want to say it, in Karnak with Shishak, they go, Albright, who is this guy? He goes, just look at 2 Chronicles 12, use this translation, and Albright showed that the Bible's record in 2 Chronicles chapter 12 was Shishak. So when Albright speaks on a subject, you pay attention. Now, I'm going to quote to you the rest of Albright's communication about Mari. In a book by G. Frederick Owens, Archaeology and the Bible, page 120, he quotes William F. Albright. And Albright said this about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let me read to you what he says. First of all, the Mari tablets are over 20,000 tablets. 300 acres were discovered of this palace. And to put it in context, that could not happen today. The Mideast don't like Christians. Syria, Iran, Iraq, no hope of an archaeologist doing their thing. But the colonial conquest of those areas gave us archaeological confirmation of the information. It's fascinating how God works in history. Now, it's mentioned that the names of Rehu, Terah, the grandfather, father, great-grand, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Benjamin, David are so common in these tablets. The Dr. Albright says this, quote, listen up, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob no longer seem like isolated figures, much less reflections of later Israeli history. They now appear as true children of their age, bearing the same names, moving about the same territory, visiting the same towns, and practicing the same customs. Did Abraham take Isaac up to Mount Moriah? And by the way, do you know where Mount Moriah is? Jerusalem. Where was Jesus crucified? In Jerusalem. You think about that.